Hi everybody, welcome to the water column. So I just got done tying a version of the 20-incher stonefly. I made it in kind of a gray. Just a test pattern. Gonna try it out in the creek by my house. Should be good. But that's not what we're after today. Today we're gonna try tying a hare's ear. Basic. Everybody loves them. Kelly Gallup's favorite fly for nymph fishing. So on and so forth, etc., etc. Gonna start by taking your size 14, securing it in your tying vise in the jaws. Make sure your vise is tight though, because mine gets used a lot, so it's kind of loose today. You're gonna need a turkey feather. Gonna need hare's ear dubbing. Gold wire. I like ultra small. Oh, sorry. Small ultra wire. Yeah, if I could talk. I usually tie all my flies in red or olive. Red kind of gives it that hot spot without actually giving it a hot spot. Kind of can draw attention, and I've had a lot of good luck with that. And you're going to need some natural Hungarian partridge feathers. You're going to want to select a partridge feather with the right size and color barbels that are kind of grizzled. Multiple colors for the tail. It's always a good thing. And you don't want them too big, but you want them a little longer than the gap of the hook. Here's a good one. So we're just going to strip down 10 or so fibers. Usually helps if you have your threads started first. You can do this in bead head or non-bead head. I'm going to do non-bead head today because I have either been check nymphing or drop shotting. And the drop shotting, you don't really need weighted flies because your drop shot is going to take it all the way down to the bottom. Okay, so just tie those in. Those might be a little too long. Not that big of a deal if it's a little too long. It'll fish just the same. Okay. Then we're going to tie in the ultra wire. I usually like to tie in enough to do a couple flies. That way I have a piece handy, tie it in about halfway up. And you're kind of building a taper as you're doing this. It'll help the taper of your body. Just clip it off about enough to do 2 flies. Okay. Then you're going to come in, you're going to get that hare's ear dubbing. And for the lower half, I try not to have too many of the guard hairs. And I try to dub it a little bit more sparsely than I do the abdomen, but you still want a good taper on your little noodle here. Little dubbing noodle. Get it going, tapered up there, if I can get it to cooperate. My fat fingers. Okay, just put the rest of your dubbing back wherever you keep your dubbing. And try and get that a little tighter. And then you're just going to start spiraling it forward. Now, it's good to have a real picky body. All of your good guides and fly tiers and shop owners will say, the buggier the better. And I have to fully agree. And now you don't want it to go all the way up because we're going to want to leave a little gap between the hook eye and the end of where we tie the fly so that we can do a nice little whip finish head and give it a good look. Wrap your thread forward, get it out of the way. And then just start open spiral wraps of your wire. This will kind of help secure that dubbing since we didn't use a dubbing loop, which, I mean, you can use a dubbing loop. That's how Kelly Gallup does it. It works fine. I just find this is quicker and easier. And I don't feel as bad when I lose them because I haven't spent quite as much time on them. And you can see it's very picky body, and that's a good thing. We'll trim the top of it off a little bit when we're done, but we're going to go ahead and go on to the next step. Okay, so now we're going to go to that turkey feather. We're going to clip off, Sorry, I can't get this feather to cooperate. Gonna clip off a little bunch of them. It's about 10 fibers. I like to take my scissors, clip off the very tip pointy parts, and then you're gonna tie that in where it'll go up to just shy of the hook eye, and then wrap it back down and kind of tighten it up back over the bottom of your fly there, where we tied in the thorax or lower part. That way we get a good thing. Then you're going to go back to that same hare's ear dubbing, but you're going to try and find more of the guard hairy type fibers. And if you have like an actual hare's mask, just pick out the real picky stuff right by the top of the ear on the face where there's more guard hairs. And you're going to want this to be a little bit bulkier when you're dubbing it. And it's a super, super effective pattern. I use it in Crane Creek, which is a wild population of rainbow trout here in Missouri. Put there long time ago from the McCloud River in California. And they are wild, spooky little devils, so you got to get in the yucky stuff to get those fish. And I'm going to make a nice round ball right there because I'm going to pick that out. And if you have too much dubbing, you can always just back it out. Save it for later. And I like to go ahead and throw a little half hitch in there to save my work. Every once in a while, if you throw a half hitch in there to save your work, it's a good idea in case you have to go to the bathroom or something. Then we're just going to take that turkey feather we tied in. Going to bring it over, make sure it's splayed out wide so you get a nice, good shell casing. Because these really do imitate small stoneflies, baetis, you know, things that are going to have a shell casing. Then we're just going to go in and clip that off real close. Now, if you don't like the idea of the Hotspot, that's all well and good. You don't have to use the bright color thread. You can use more of a tan or an olive, and it works just as well. It just depends on your water, where you're at, what you're doing. But I like to give it a nice, round, whip-finished head. And remember, that picky, that's good stuff. We don't want to mess with that. We'll give it another little one, round it up a little. And if you're on the stream and fishing this and it's starting to look rough, just rough it up real good again and it will resume awesomeness. Okay, so now that I got this done, I'm going to make sure and take my little dubbing brush and I'm going to hit the bottom of that thorax there where we can see it's fluffing it out real big. Very picky, very fluffy. Pick out that backside too. Remember those picky guard hairs, those are good. And then I'm just going to take my scissors, and there's some long stringy fibers. We don't want that fuzzy stuff so much as we do those guard hairs. I'm going to trim it up a little, drop it down. I got a few rogue hairs pointing up. We can trim those off. But again, that's just going to make it look that much pickier. And we're going to snag our hard as nails. I don't like to use the little droppers. I like to just let it bead up on the end of my brush. Put it on the wing case, as well as the whip finish. Making sure not to block the eye, of course, and that'll give it a little bit more shine. A little bit back onto the back there. That'll give it a little bit more shine. Now we've got a real buggy looking Hotspot hare's ear that will work. It could double as a scud. If you have a lot of scuds present, just pluck those tail feathers out and let it roll along the bottom. we'll get a good close-up here if I can get it to focus. Maybe we'll get a focus. There we go. We got focus. And that's it with that bright red head and the big long tail. It is a fantastic pattern. And like I said, if you want to use a dubbing loop, it works really well. A little bit more secure, but I just destroy these things. And yeah, so that's it for today's version of the water column. Hopefully be doing more of these videos. Just with work and stuff, you know, you got to squeeze it in when you can. And maybe we'll get this giant mess cleaned up too. That would be magnificent. But yeah, there we are. Thanks for watching. Bye.